Story 1. Honestly, wasps. I truly hate wasps with a burning passion, and the feeling is mutual. You could be coated in pure Coca-Cola and actively trying to kill a wasp, and it will still prefer to hunt me down. My family can vouch for this too. Those creatures seem to target me as if I dishonored their family in another lifetime. Wasps are the worst. Story 2. I have misophonia. People making loud chewing noises, eating with their mouths open, and the sound of their lips smacking drives me almost to the point of insanity. I do not care about bad manners, but those sounds drive me nuts. Story 3. Public speaking, and not like, oh, he doesn't like it, but like anxious workup, weak knees, and clammy, to the point I usually have to be coerced into actually doing it. The thought of changing my name and moving to a new state seems like a great option. Even in larger group settings, I will notice I'll take the background positions because there are more than 3 people listening to me at one time. Story 4. I don't know if there's even a word for it, but I get a feeling of intense disgust whenever I see very small clutter and possibly dirt in one place. For instance, at flea markets, I don't mind digging through piles of old clothes, books, or home decor, but a box full of keychains and other knickknacks, ugh. I also cannot buy puzzles that are opened because I hate the idea of there being dirt or dust among the pieces. I once tried making a thrifted puzzle, and I still remember how disgusted I ended up being. Story 5. Mainly people in costumes, but hear me out, not just any costumes. Only costumes with a very big head. I don't mind normal costumes or masks, but a big head like the Mickey Mouse ones in Disneyland or something makes me freak out. Oh, and deep water because I can't swim. It's my second fear. Story 6. Nosophobia. I am terrified of getting any sort of terminal or life-shortening disease. I'm not scared of death itself, but the anticipation and slow deterioration associated with terminal illness, such as cancer, terrifies me. I feel physically sick imagining it. The worst part is I have chronic health issues that doctors keep dismissing, and every time I notice a symptom getting worse, notice a new symptom, or find myself restricted by symptoms, I panic. Trypanophobia. I can handle needles if I'm seeing other people or animals get them, but as soon as it's me, I feel faint. I had a panic attack last time I had to get a blood test, and I will do anything to avoid needles from now on. I am scared of spiders and insects, but I also think they're cute in photos, and I'm slowly getting over the fear of physically touching them. I can be near them, so I don't consider it a phobia of mine. It's more a minor fear. Story 7. Since I was a child, I have carried a strange phobia. The fear of stepping on the stripes of crosswalks. Every time I approach one, a chill runs through my body. I imagine that if I step on a stripe, something terrible could happen, as if I'm breaking an invisible pact. The routine of crossing the street becomes a ritual. I leap from one section to another, as if dodging a deadly trap. My friends laugh, but they don't understand that. For me, those stripes aren't just white paint. They're lines between two worlds. Sometimes I wonder if there are others who share the same unease, or if I'm destined to keep avoiding the stripes of life. Story 8. Emetophobia. I have such a massive fear of throwing up. I didn't know why for a while, but my teacher in high school mentioned she had this phobia too, and that it probably relates to the anxiety of losing control or being forced to do something unpleasant against your will by your own body. But the funny thing is, once I actually do it, it's not as anxiety-inducing. Almost like actually doing it helps some of the anxiety. I got norovirus, and it was the worst stomach pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. But once I finally puked, I had an easier time having to do it throughout the night until I finally fell asleep. Story 9. Being alone, specifically having no friends, was majorly depressing for most of my life. Having friends and positive social interactions helped me out greatly, even when it got really tough. I am doing better now, but I guess there's still some part of me that's scared. If my friends left me or don't actually care about me, I might slip back into those really dark places again. Story 10. Megalophobia, especially huge statues resembling humans, such as the Statue of Liberty, the Motherland Calls, and even the Statue of David. There is something unnerving about turning a corner, not expecting it, and accidentally stumbling upon one. Submechanophobia refers to the fear of machinery, like shipwrecks such as the Titanic and sunken plane wrecks. Trypophobia involves the fear of clusters of holes. I was badly burned once and remember my skin growing over the gauze and seeing a pattern. It grosses me out so much. Story 11. I have a really severe pregnancy phobia. I cannot hear about other people's pregnancies without feeling like I want to vomit, and it's really hard for me to even look at pregnant people sometimes. Story 12. Water bugs, those roach-like things the size of a small dog and heights. I just get paralyzed, and my scalp feels like goosebumps. I can't connect either one to a traumatic event in my life. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, but so far, I just can't move past either fear. Story 13. Spotted lanternflies. I hate them. I almost die inside every time I have to walk through a bunch of them to get into a store or my car or when they walk on you. Story 14. I'm not even sure if this has a name, but shipwrecks kind of freak me out. Something about that large being underneath the surface makes my stomach flip-flop. Sperm whales freak me out for the same reason. Story 15. I have lived by myself all my adult life, and if something were to happen to me in my own apartment, no one would ever know. This happened to my buddy's neighbor. They didn't know the person died until the body started decomposing, which took a while due to the air conditioning, and the foul smell started filling the building. All the bills and everything were on auto payment, so no one suspected anything. Story 16. I've worked in nursing homes and hospitals, including in the emergency room. I've seen some weird stuff. Literally weird stuff. Nothing ever freaked me out. Nothing. However, I will run screaming out of the room if my cat turns his ear inside out when he is grooming himself. Story 17. Wasps. We have one of the most aggressive types of wasps in my country. They are overall harmless besides stinging, but I don't even want to be in the same house as a wasp. It doesn't help that I once had a wasp climb into my sleeve. Trauma. Story 18. I genuinely fear horses. I also have a fear of patterns of holes. I am afraid of being cheated on by a beloved person. I would seriously consider suicide in such a case. Story 19. Oh God. Being trapped somewhere really tight and suffocating, like being buried alive. That and wasps, bees, spiders, and roaches. And swimming in dark water. Story 20. A weird one I know, but high toilets. Those that have cisterns high up on a wall with a long pipe and chain. I'm even scared of toilets that look like they used to have one. Mom tells me I was locked in a park toilet with high toilets like this when I was 3 years old and was hysterical. I have no memory of this despite having hypnosis in the past. At 61 years old, the fear hasn't gone away at all. Story 21. The text is horrifying. Hordes of anything. I used to think it was just like zombie hordes until I worked for a landscaper for a summer and flipped a big rock over, and about 500 centipedes just started going everywhere, and I almost fainted. Story 22. I'm not sure what it's called, but sticking my hands between couch cushions and in places where crumbs and other items fall is weird to me. Cleaning the overhang of an undermount sink. Walking on carpet with bare feet, especially when they are damp, creeps me out. Jets of a jacuzzi-style tub. I'm convinced they can't be cleaned or scrubbed well enough, especially when soaking in a bath. Hair sticking to me when wet gives me the creeps. I could go on and on. I definitely have issues. Story 23. I don't know if it has a name, but I hate anything that involves dead animals. This even includes cooked ones. I can't even look at a roasted pig or chicken without looking away instantly. I can handle it when the meat doesn't look like it was alive, but as soon as my mind recognizes it as a body part, I instantly squirm and want to get as far away from it as possible. Story 24. Not sure what it is called, but I guess body horror? I had to pack a small incision on my thigh earlier this year. I did not realize how much it freaked me out until I had to do it for the first time. I almost burst into tears every time I had to do it. Thankfully, I only had to do it for 3 days. Story 25. Ice cream trucks. I've had no choice but to work on this phobia with time, but I've legitimately sprinted to get back inside when one pulls up. I also run inside anytime I hear the creepy music coming from them. I absolutely hate when they pull up alongside my car in the city. It usually makes me start to nervously laugh, then I floor it. Story 26. Crumbs on the bed sheets. I cannot sleep with that nonsense going on. I put lotion on so any tiny crumbs cling to my skin. I know I could refrain from eating cookies in bed, but that is not a viable solution, as that is one of my only pleasures in life. Story 27. Centipedes. It's only been in my late 20s and early 30s that I won't see one and have a full-blown crying, on the floor panic attack. I now just cry and call my husband. Story 28. Mannequins. Started when I was around 14 years old. We went to a museum, and I started getting nervous around some of the displays. My mom took a picture of me at the museum, and in the picture you can see the fear in my eyes. It's not a huge fear at all. They just bother me and make me feel uncomfortable. I do have to say, after taking antidepressants, the fear diminished significantly. However, I still get creeped out by them. Story 29. Can styrofoam be a phobia? The sound, the feel, the texture. I had to take a glass bottle out of a milk box lined with styrofoam and audibly gagged. My neighbor thought I was crazy. Story 30. When I was about 7, I had a cousin chase me around the yard with 2 big bullfrogs in his hands, seeming to want to throw them at me and shove them in my face. I was visiting his mom's house with my parents, and I ended up in my parents' car, rolled up the windows, locked the doors, and covered up in the back seat because I was scared and fell asleep. When I woke back up, he was standing at the windows with the frogs. I never could stand them after that. Story 31. Hurting my partner. Accidentally being too rough in bed, getting us into a car crash, saying something hurtful without thinking first. Colors every decision. Story 32. Thalassophobia. I can't go swimming in any sea, lake, or river if I can't see the bottom. Even if it's 20 centimeters deep, if I can't see the bottom, I can't get in the water. Story 33. I used to be afraid of the sky for some reason. Looking at it made me dizzy and feel like I'm about to fall up, similar to the feeling I get when I'm high up looking down. I would have dreams of falling up too, like hangovers, until I let it happen. Now it doesn't bother me as much, so I guess dreams really do have a purpose. Story 34. Snakes. I know people say they are scared of them, but what I have is not normal. I can't look at pictures of them. If they are on television, I have to cover my eyes and plug my ears until they are gone, and God forbid I see one in the wild. I've seen one, which was a grass snake in my garden, and I collapsed, and my heart nearly stopped. My poor husband genuinely thought I was dead. I won't go near anywhere they may be. Seriously considering moving to New Zealand as they have none. Disgusting. Story 35. The ocean. Look, I love nature. I love space. I cannot stand the ocean. We can go further in space and venture to areas we never could before. But the ocean, our own Earth, our home, we can't get to the depths without imploding. Who knows what lies down there in undiscovered areas? We can't see down that far. There are even areas in the top open water that we haven't touched. The thought of being out there, falling headfirst into water, looking down with blurry, stinging eyes, and seeing a creature you've never seen on the internet or even have, but not from that perspective. Panic. Sure, I'll go to the beach, stand at the shore and freeze my toes off. But I won't go further than ankle deep. I'm going to make sandcastles. Story 36. Parasites are organisms that attach to your body to attack it. Ticks, tapeworms, and trichinosis are examples. Just the thought of something burrowing into your skin or muscles freaks me out. Story 37. Anything having to do with sensitive parts of the body or blood. I'm not scared of blood, but blood makes me feel dizzy. Just thinking about it makes me feel uneasy. I can watch gore and all that, but when it's my blood, I don't like it. The eyes, nails, and teeth. I'm incredibly afraid of something happening to any of them, especially my eyes. I start feeling very anxious if someone puts their hands on my face. Story 38. For some reason, before I go to bed and am sinking down the YouTube rabbit hole, exploring caves and spelunking comes up. Being stuck in a cave like the Nutty Putty cave incident is nerve-wracking to even ponder. Now add water to that. Phobia grenade. Story 39. Being trapped with no way out of a place. But not exactly claustrophobia. I don't fear small, enclosed places as long as I know I can get out. I can't be in the middle of a dense crowd, or when I'm stuck in traffic with cars on all sides. all going the same speed, boxing me in, my anxiety skyrockets. Story 40. People. Although I am supposedly well known in my school, I am extremely scared of people because I have no idea what they are thinking, and I get really anxious. I do not think it could be anxiety since I have no problem with public speaking or interacting with strangers. This usually happens with people I would see more than once. Story 41. Fear of knowingly being in an in-group, or at least not being able to know everything because of how biases and stereotypes work, such as that you will never know everything because of your own personal experiences and beliefs. Story 42. Emetophobia. This phobia isn't talked about as much as it should be. It honestly takes over your whole life. Going on a night out is a no-go. What if I feel sick? What if they get sick? Do you feel sick? Please tell me if you're going to vomit so I can leave. Even being in a relationship has created a line between me and my partner. I'm always scared he's not well, has a bug, or might be sick. Story 43. Claustrophobia and ankylophobia. My siblings caused claustrophobia by closing up in tight places when I was younger, and I just get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about too many things in one place like ant piles and termites. Story 44. I have this weird fear of slow things. I don't know what it is. Like if something is coming at me quickly, it's fine, but if it's slow, it just gives me this weird feeling of anxiety.